It was November 24th, 1971. A man walked into Portland International Airport. He looked normal. He wore a black suit and a black tie. He carried a small briefcase. He used the name Dan Cooper. He bought a one-way ticket to Seattle. The flight was only 30 minutes long. He sat in seat 18C. He ordered a drink and waited. Soon after takeoff, he gave a note to a flight attendant. It said, "I have a bomb in my briefcase. Sit next to me." The flight attendant, Florence Schaffner, sat down next to the man. She was scared, but she tried to stay calm. Cooper slowly opened his briefcase. Inside, she saw 8 red cylinders. They looked like dynamite. They were connected with wires to a large battery. It was a real bomb. Cooper looked her in the eyes and told her exactly what he wanted. He didn't just ask for money. He had a very specific plan. First, he demanded $200,000, but he made a rule. It must be in $20 bills. Why $20 bills? Because they are easier to carry and spend than larger bills. Second, he asked for 4 parachutes. Third, he wanted the plane to be refueled as soon as they landed in Seattle. He wanted no delays. He wanted to be back in the air quickly. While the plane circled Seattle, waiting for the money to be ready, Cooper remained strangely quiet. He wasn't screaming. He wasn't nervous. He ordered a second drink, a whiskey and soda. He even offered to pay for it. He even tried to give the flight attendant a tip. The pilots were talking to the FBI on the ground. The police were rushing to find $200,000 in cash and the right kind of parachutes. Everyone was panicking, except for Dan Cooper. He sat in seat 18C, looking out the window, waiting for the sun to go down. The money was on the plane. The fuel was ready. At 7:40 p.m., the plane took off again. Cooper told the pilot to fly toward Mexico City. He gave very specific instructions. He wanted the plane to fly at 10,000 feet. That is much lower than normal. He wanted the flaps at 15 degrees, and most importantly, he wanted the landing gear to stay down. The pilots were confused, but they had to follow his orders. The night was terrible. It was freezing cold, and a heavy rain was hitting the plane. Suddenly, the crew saw a warning light in the cockpit. The rear stairs, the aft stairs, had been opened. The pilot asked over the radio, "Is there anything we can do for you?" Cooper's voice came back for the last time. He said only one word: "No." At 8:13 p.m., the tail of the plane suddenly jerked upward. The pilots felt it. Something or someone had just left the aircraft. Dan Cooper was gone. He jumped into the freezing rain. He had no coat. He had no helmet. He was jumping into a forest so thick that even the sun couldn't reach the ground. As soon as the plane landed, the biggest manhunt in history began. The FBI, the police, and the army went into the woods of Washington state. They used helicopters. They used dogs. They even used a submarine to look in the nearby lakes. They searched for weeks, then months. They looked for a body, a parachute, or even a piece of clothing. They found nothing. It was like Dan Cooper had never existed. Then, 9 years later, in 1980, something strange happened. A young boy named Brian Ingram was on a family camping trip. He was digging in the sand by the Columbia River. He found 3 small bundles of cash. The rubber bands were still on them, but they were rotting away. The FBI checked the serial numbers. It was Cooper's money, $5,800 in total. This raised even more questions. If the money was there, where was the other $194,000? 40 years passed. The FBI file on D.B.Cooper grew to over 60 volumes. They investigated more than 800 suspects. But the mystery only grew deeper. Some experts believe Cooper was a paratrooper, a soldier trained to jump from planes. Why? Because he knew exactly how to operate the Boeing 727's rear stairs. He knew which parachute to choose, and he knew the perfect speed for the jump. One famous suspect was Richard McCoy. Another suspect was Sheridan Peterson. But again, there was no hard evidence. No DNA. No fingerprints. In 2016, the FBI did something they almost never do. They officially stopped investigating the case. They said their time was better spent on other crimes. But for the rest of the world, the hunt never ended. Think about it. A man jumps into a freezing storm at night over a dangerous forest with 20 pounds of cash tied to his body. If he died, where is the body? If he lived, how did he disappear so perfectly? Maybe he is still alive today, an old man living a quiet life in a small town. Or maybe his bones are still hidden somewhere deep in the mountains of Washington, waiting to be found. The story of D.B.Cooper is more than just a crime. It is the ultimate vanishing act. A man who came from nothing, took what he wanted, and stepped into the clouds, never to be seen again. What is your theory? Did he survive the fall? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching Midnight Casebook. Don't forget to subscribe for more unsolved mysteries.